Transcripts and recordings of the podcast may not be used for any purpose without the direct written permission of the podcast owner. Welcome to Light It Up, a podcast about resilient women balancing motherhood, their careers, personal lives, and all of the challenges that come along with being a superwoman. Each week, you'll be motivated to take action to lead, inspire, transform, and empower. Now, here's your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a new episode of Light It Up. I am your host, Dr. Aginah Musherah. I am so very excited about today's episode because I have a returning guest, Miss Melanie Hall, who is the CEO of Insights Therapeutic Services, and she is also a licensed clinical professional counselor.
Yeah.
Welcome back, I should say.
Welcome back. Yes,
to
I'm so
Light
happy to be here.
I am so excited about you being here because I think you were on the podcast last year
Yes,
and we had great conversation talking about the importance of folks maintaining their mental health and focusing
yes,
on mental wellness.
yes.
And over the course of the year, you've been up to
I've
some,
been busy.
you've been really busy. You've been traveling. I've been watching
Yes,
you. Hanging out with your other professional
yes,
colleagues,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
but you've incorporated, I'm going to say, work and play in those trips. So it wasn't just
Yes,
all about,
because you have to get your relaxation in
that's right.
to get
That's right.
that
So you're practicing
what
what,
I preach.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there is something, I just want to jump right into it because I'm
Yeah.
very excited about it. Um, Hopefully, I'll be able to make use of some of these wonderful things
I
that you.
believe you can. I believe you can. So we'll just jump right into it.
Yeah.
I am a licensed clinical professional counselor as well as relationship coach. I coach individuals and couples regarding their emotional intelligence and their communication skills. And we kind of bring all that together so that they can relate better, right? They can manage their emotions better and so that they can have better lifestyles individually or collectively.
Okay.
So, one of the things that I have created recently was a card deck. And I have it right here so I can actually show it to you. It is called We Didn't Have That Conversation. And so when I talk to people about it, because, it takes a conversation sometimes, because I understand people think it's just cards. So they are cards with questions. And
Mhm.
it's not a game. However, you can make it a game if you wish. And the goal is to improve conversation. Over years of working with individuals and couples, I have found that there's a lot of conversations that have not been had, right? So
Mhm.
there may be some issues there, and I may ask, had you all ever talked about this? And they'll go, well, no, we didn't think we had to. Understandably so, depending on the age, right? But
Mhm.
some of these people are a little bit older, and it's like you never thought to have that conversation. You never thought to ask that question. So there's 100 questions in the deck.
Ooh.
There's 100 questions. Oh, I have many more. This is volume one. Okay.
Okay.
And volume one, the questions are designed to look into a person's character, I'll say. Okay. So just to give you an example, I'll even open one.
Okay.
One of the questions on a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, how much do you value sleep?
Ooh.
Why do I want to know that?
Yes. Why do
Because
I know
I
that?
want to know that because let's say we are dating, let's say we're
Mhm.
living together, let's say
Mhm.
we get married.
Mhm.
I need to know that you value that really highly so I know not to bother you. Some people sleep very hard, right? So you can wake them up, they can go right back to sleep, no problem, right? But then there's some people that sleep kind of light. If you interrupt their sleep, you may throw their entire day off.
Mm,
So it's good information to know that you don't want me to interrupt your sleep and you value it highly, right?
mm,
So questions similar to that, that just kind of dig into who are you? Who is
mhm.
this person sitting across from me? Who's this person I've been building a life with, so to speak, right? And it opens up dialogue. It opens up, you have to be a little vulnerable. That's just part of it. And you got to be transparent, right? Because that's how you get to know one another.
So, okay. Why did you decide to create these cards?
Yeah.
I know that you mentioned you're a relationship coach,
Yes.
and as someone who meets a statistic, I'm divorced.
Hmm.
I've dated, I date,
Yes.
but I'm single.
Yes.
Let me just go on record of saying that. For someone like me, for example, who does not have who's not in a committed,
Yes.
yes, relationship,
Yes.
how would I use these cards and why should I use these?
Yes, ma'am. So, great question. I have been married,
Mhm.
divorced, and remarried to the same man. So I have been on all sides. I
Okay.
have been cheated on. I have been the one who cheated. I've
Mhm.
also been the person on the side, right? I've
Mhm.
played all the roles. And one of the things before reconciling with my husband, there was still a lot of conversations we needed to have. We really weren't as honest as we thought we were, right? But even for single people, you need to be able to answer these questions for yourself. Because
Okay.
when people ask you things about yourself, like what's your level of self awareness, the cards can help you gain a higher level of self awareness and to be able to tell someone why I do something,
Mhm.
right? Why I value something. Here's what I expect down the line. It doesn't mean that I make my life rigid. It means this is where I am right now. And this is what I can communicate to you right now, right? Because
Mhm.
I've done a lot of the inner work. I've had the conversations with myself, if nothing else, right? And now I'm able to have them with someone else.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All
So
right.
the people can sit and it's just pick a card. If
Mhm.
the question applies, answer the question. If it doesn't apply, go to the next one. There's no right or wrong to it. There's no right or wrong answer. There's no rules around it. The goal is to sit and have a conversation. You can maybe pick one a week, right? Designated time. We got Q&A time, right?
Yeah.
It could be, we go to dinner, we just take a few out the pack. Conversation time, right? So
Uh,
there is no hard, fast rule about how to utilize the cards. Just utilize them. Because oftentimes, especially for very introverted people,
mhm.
they may have difficulty coming up with things to talk about.
Yeah.
This is a good way to break some ice with some things, especially if you think you are really into the person, right? But
Mhm.
again, even to the side, just to be able to ask yourself, like, as talking about value of sleep, that wasn't a thing for me in the past.
Yeah.
I have autoimmune issues. Guess what?
Mhm.
Sleep is highly important to me now.
Mhm.
Everyone in the house knows if she's resting, let her rest,
Yeah.
right? Because I tend to work long hours.
Mhm.
So it didn't mean as much back then, but it means a heck of a lot now.
Mm.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Now, do you use these cards also in therapy when you're working
I
with
do.
your
I
clients?
do. I utilize the cards in session. The clinicians in my practice, I have a group practice,
Yes.
and the clinicians that are in the practice, when they meet with couples, they utilize the cards as well. Sometimes I just literally put them on there and encourage them, pick a
Mhm.
card, right?
Mhm.
So I
Mhm.
don't have to be the one holding the cards. I encourage them to utilize them so they can see how to use them, right? And
Okay.
it doesn't have to have a level of doom that comes with it.
Mhm.
When you say to a lot of men, let's talk,
Oh my
there's
God.
this energy that fills the room that is
Yeah.
not open,
Yeah.
right? They immediately shut down and don't know what to expect. I have held relationship roundtables, and men were very apprehensive to come. And guess how I open it up? Tell me what TV show that
Mm.
you grew up on, which one told you about relationships? And
Hmm.
it is the funniest thing because everybody goes, hmm, because you hear good times,
Mm-hmm.
right? You
Yeah.
might hear the Cosby Show,
Mm-hmm.
right? Depending on the culture, there's not a lot to come up with, but it's like it's either on one or two spectrums, like Good Times and the Cosby Show, two different ends of the spectrum. And it's like, is that where you got your idea of how to be a husband or how to be a wife, right? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
examples did we see? And
Mm-hmm.
then what TV show reflects your life now in relationships?
Mm-hmm.
And so people say, train wreck, right?
That's
So
right.
the conversation doesn't have to be heavy. Sometimes it just needs to be directed. And the
Mm-hmm.
questions help direct it. The relationship roundtables, it is so easy to get people talking once you lighten it up like that because they
Mm-hmm.
expect to come in and have these heavy conversations. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just about opening up dialogue.
Why do you think, I mean, in your professional opinion,
Mhm,
that it seems like it's so easy for women to have conversations and talk. I mean,
mhm, mhm.
we'll talk about anything, right?
Yes,
But men, it's like pulling teeth sometimes.
yes, yes. Mhm.
Is that
What is
just
that?
how we're like, what is that? Is it just how we're wired and made up? I don't know.
To some degree, because we are natural nurturers,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of
Mhm.
times we want to move conversation into a space where we feel something,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
However, men can often be avoidant. And for the men that hear this, it doesn't have to be a negative. It's just what happens, right?
Yeah.
You hear we need to have a conversation. Now your mind, for men, a lot of times their mind goes from one end to the other. What am I going to have to deal with? Because if she becomes emotional, I have to deal with that, right? I
Mm.
don't know the intensity of why we're having this conversation, right? This may turn really intense, and then I have to try and manage that. So, how can I circumvent and get out of this? So, we may be very vague,
Mhm.
right? They may be give an answer that they think you want to hear simply because we don't want to deal with the outcome that we assume will occur. So, even when a woman may say, and in traditional heterosexual relationships, even when I'll say a person may say,
Mhm.
it's really not going to be that bad. Like, I just want to know X, Y, and Z. In their mind, they expect this is going to go left.
Yeah.
I already know this is going to go left. So I'm trying to avoid it. We can have fun, we can do all the things. But the moment you want to talk about something where emotions may get involved, I don't want to go down that road because I may not be able to manage your emotions. I
Mm.
may not give you the answer that you're looking for. And guess what? You may still turn emotional.
Yeah.
So it's not out of we're avoiding because we can't do it. We're avoiding it because I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of this question.
Mhm. I'm thinking about something that just happened recently. Um, and this actually, as I kind of think about different conversations that I have with individuals of the opposite sex,
Hmm.
um, I I tell people all the time, I wouldn't be able to play poker if somebody paid me. I
Hmm.
can't
Hmm.
because I wear my
Hiding those facial expressions.
yeah, I hadn't mastered that yet.
Hmm.
And I find myself sometimes, and probably more often than not,
Hmm.
um, overthinking.
Yeah.
So maybe I want to have a conversation about something,
Yes.
but
Yes.
not really knowing
How to
how
bring it
to,
down.
how to bring it out, how to engage, or worried that they are going to take what I'm saying or what I want to talk about the wrong way. And then it leads to my facial expression is probably saying that there's something I want to say.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And usually that individual of the opposite sex is saying, well, what? What is it?
You're like,
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, never
because
mind.
it doesn't always come up and out the right way. Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times is that fear, that anxiety, that apprehension, because I don't want to make it seem so heavy.
Right.
It's something that I would really like to know,
Right.
right?
Yes.
So let's say you're asking a person, like, tell me about your family of origin, right?
Mhm.
Especially because we're older now. Some
Yeah.
people, didn't grow up near them, right? So it's
Right.
like, where are you from? And tell me about your family. For some people, that's a question of like, no biggie. I can tell you that. And for other people, it's why are you probing?
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
so you never know how a person will receive a particular question.
Mhm.
Disclaimers are a thing. I love my disclaimers. So
Mhm.
you could simply say, I hope this comes out the right way because it may sound heavy, but it's not meant to be heavy. I
Mhm.
just want to know, like, what's your family like?
Mhm.
Right? See
Mhm.
how that just like lifted something? It's like, I'm not trying to make this heavy. I'm just being nosy. Own it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes we are just being nosy. For
Yeah.
years, my husband and I would go toe to toe with one another because let's say he was either going out or came in from going out, and I'm
Mhm.
full of questions. I said, for years, this has been about nosiness,
Yeah.
not about you. The way you responded, it moved to a trust thing because you were very closed off, right? So
Mhm.
for me, I'm on this end saying, like, why is all this nonverbal behavior occurring?
Mhm.
Because I'm trying to avoid a blow up, right? I'm
Yeah.
trying to avoid an argument. And I'm on this end saying, I'm just being nosy. I just wanted to know where'd y'all go? What'd y'all do? So,
Mhm.
of course, now when I go there, he is full of information because he knows the origin of it. Like, I wasn't even trying to dissect anything, I wasn't trying to assess anything. I just wanted to know what was going on. So, for people that are talkers like
Mhm.
myself,
Mhm.
we ask a lot of questions
Yeah.
because we want to engage, right? So that's the other thing you have to know when you're dating,
Mhm.
right? Or anything. You have to know if you have a person that likes to engage. So while I was dating, when my husband and I were not together, and I dated people that didn't like to engage, and I would call just for nothing, just to talk, and I got a response that was, you didn't want anything. I'm like, oh, so you are not a talker. Okay.
Mhm.
And I knew at that moment, this likely won't work.
Yeah.
I'm a talker.
Hmm. Well, and I'm just thinking about the type of men that I typically, um, I used to have like a checklist.
It's like a type. You had
Yes,
a
but
diagram.
yes, but I find myself the men that I gravitate towards the most are those who can engage in conversation because I am a
Yeah.
talker.
Yes.
Although I tell people I'm an introvert, I really am an introvert. They
Yeah.
don't believe me,
Mhm.
but I like to talk one on one and get to
Absolutely.
know
The
people,
intimate
right?
setting. Mhm.
Exactly. Um, and just listen to,
Mhm.
what someone has to say. So I am
Yeah.
attracted by that. So a man who can engage in conversation with me and does not have problem
Mhm.
communicating,
Yes. But,
then
and we have to remember learned behavior, right? Some people
mhm,
learned to only talk when spoken to for the most part, right? Some
mhm,
people actually live in a household where there's not a whole lot of engagement, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
then there's those that grow up in households where there's a lot of talking and sometimes loud talking in some depending on where you come from, right? So
right.
you asking someone about their family of origin is a good question because it will give me some insight into who you really are. Did you grow into this person or
Mhm,
are you still working with learned behavior?
mm,
Right?
mhm,
I'm an introvert to the core. I have extroverted moments when I'm in my comfort zone, right?
right, right.
When those people that are around me, they're like, you say you're an extrovert, but I'm like, get me in a room where,
Yes.
I don't know anyone and I'm probably gonna lean up against the wall.
Yeah,
However, you come and start a conversation with me, I'm gonna engage, right?
right.
Especially if it's conversation that I love to talk about, like mental health, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm,
as long as it is in a space that I feel comfortable, I'm going to probably be rather extroverted. But
mhm,
I grew up in a house where there was, I would say, normal, average conversation,
mhm,
but not necessarily about who I was, right? There
mhm,
was a conversation about who are you? What do you like? Why don't you like that? that wasn't necessarily conversation. So over the years, I grew to talk more about me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So these cards, because I'm gonna have to order
Yeah.
um but now I guess I need to figure out now, do I use these with since I'm in the dating
Yes,
mode?
ma'am. Yes. They
Do
are for
I
all levels of relationship.
okay.
All levels. There's no need to feel some anxiety about, oh my goodness, we just met not too long ago, right? And we're still trying. Good, because they're to help you get to know people, right? And again, if it's too deep, right?
Mhm.
Like, okay, we are not even there yet. Yep,
Yeah.
just slide
Yep.
it on the bottom and go to the next one, right? And you be open enough, don't make it secret. Like, here they are. Look at
Mhm.
them. Read the packaging and it will tell you what they are, but it doesn't mean that I am trying to move us to the next stage, right?
Yeah.
I just want to see what some of your responses are, right?
Mhm.
So it can definitely be lightened up. It
Mhm.
doesn't, the goal is to communicate. When I work with my couples, especially, we are all about communication because your nonverbals say a whole lot, as well
Mhm.
as your tone, right? The
Mhm.
cadence and all of that. So we work on what is it that you're really trying to communicate. This
Mhm.
is the part that I love in session, even when I'm working with individuals and they tell me about some of their relationships, and I'm like, what was your goal? Like
Yeah.
we always talk, what was the goal? What were you trying to communicate? And then they'll say, and I'm like, well, why didn't you say that? I don't know. It just didn't come out that way because you were nervous, right? And it's like, use the disclaimers. I'm really nervous to ask you this, but I'm
Mhm.
going to ask it only because I think it will open up some dialogue. Most people get disarmed by that.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, when you have a relationship coach like such as yourself,
Yes.
like when as you're talking, it all makes sense what
Mhm.
you're saying in terms of, just being open and direct
Yes. Yes.
with your communication.
Right.
Um, because I also hear, and I know men say this, like they're not mind readers. I see all sorts of stuff on social
Yes.
media. And again, this whole dating culture, trying
Yeah.
to date in your mid 40s.
Yes, there's a lot of things lurking in the water. I've heard so many
Yeah.
things, right? And this goes back to where are you looking, right?
Mhm,
Um, your discernment skills, sharpen those, right?
mhm.
Um, if it doesn't feel right,
Yeah,
probably isn't right.
yeah.
What's going on right now, the young lady, unfortunately, yes, with her 50 something episodes. Um, I'm glad she admit I didn't listen to them. I saw many summaries and that was enough for me.
Likewise.
Um, I have, I'm glad she got to the point where she said, I was afraid to ask some things and I didn't want to be alone. Right.
Mhm.
And that drives a lot of behavior.
Yeah.
When I am listening to some of the stories that women tell me and some of the stories that men tell me, everybody wants the same thing. That's the part that from my position, I'm like,
Mhm,
everybody wants the same thing, but nobody's saying it the same way. And no one's going after it the same way. There's a time when people want to play, right? There's
mhm,
a lot of men, especially if they've come out of a divorce or something like that, they're like, I just want to go play on the playground and
mhm,
mind my business. And
mhm.
sometimes women will say, cool, no problem. But you got to know yourself. Are you going to be able to say that in 12 weeks when he's ready to move on?
Right,
Probably not, right? Because
right,
now I've been pulled in because we've been having
right,
such a good time, right?
right,
Why are we not assessing these relationships as we go?
right.
And it doesn't have to be a deep conversation, but are we still on the same page?
Yeah,
Right? Are you starting to feel some emotions that you didn't expect? If so, let's address those because we might be going down two different roads.
right. And I'm gonna say being mature enough
Yeah.
to have those conversations,
Yes.
because I recall I was dating someone who incidentally, so I'm putting my business out there on these podcast streets. But when we were dating, um, I recall him asking me, "Do you want to do you think you'll ever get married again, or do you want to get married
Mhm,
again?"
mhm.
Honestly, Melanie, I thought it was just a general
Yeah,
question
yeah.
because we were, like, early
Mhm, mhm.
into.
You're like, "Hmm, okay,
Yeah,
interesting."
and my response was that at this time,
Yeah.
if I meet the right person,
Now he's assessing himself.
I think I said, "I think I would like to get married again.
Mhm.
However, it is not like right now, I'm not dating for the purpose of I'm
Getting
looking to
married.
get married again. I want a husband." I said, "Because I don't want to get a divorce again.
Yeah,
And if I get married again, that has to be it. We got to die
yeah.
together.
We
Or
gotta
one of
die
us got to
together.
die first.
Yeah,
What,
yeah.
I don't
Mhm.
want to get married again to get a divorce."
Right.
I am also very clear with men that I date or who express an interest in me.
Mhm.
I will not, and I almost feel like I sound like some men in this instance.
Yeah.
If you have children who are of a certain age, which means younger than my soon to be 17-year-old,
Mhm. Yeah. Because I don't wanna step into a mothering role again.
I do not,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm counting down to 2020.
Yes, I know.
So I'm not going to put myself in that situation
Yeah,
of trying to of dating someone who has young children because I know I don't want that.
yes,
I
yes.
don't want to raise
Yeah.
younger children,
And that level of honesty, unfortunately, is what's not in the water
yeah.
because people are so afraid of being judged. There are
Yeah,
so many people that are afraid of saying the wrong thing, and now I lost an opportunity,
right,
right? Rather than being themselves. I remember dating, and this guy kept asking where I lived, and I was just like, that alone is starting to make me uncomfortable.
right.
Then he said one other time, well, can't the kids go somewhere so I can come by? I said, oh, there's people out here doing that. Yeah, that would not be me.
Yeah,
My children live here. This is their
exactly.
house.
Right.
That would be a no, right? So I had to eliminate him just
Yes.
off that alone because that told me your expectation of me is
Yes.
that I will cast my kids aside for
Yeah.
you. And
Mm,
that, I don't know why you would want a woman that would do that, but that's clearly the type of woman you want. I'm not her,
I'm not her. Yes. I've
right?
had those conversations too.
Yes.
Like that's not
It's
happening.
pushing the boundaries. I'm sure
Mhm,
the ratio of men to women is part of
mhm.
the issue, right? Because
Yeah.
there's way more women, and especially when you're talking about African American, right? There's way more women than there are men. And so they have their pick,
Mm,
right? And so when women tend to get someone, it's like, what do I need to do to keep this going and keep him intrigued and keep him
mhm.
interested, right? In me, and I'm willing to do a lot of things. And unfortunately, that's part of the reason that young lady fell into that situation. And a
Yeah.
lot of people are in certain situations. I literally have a couple that I'm working with right now. They've only been together a little over a year and they're talking about marriage. And the blowups that they have are astounding. And
Mhm,
what I want to say, but I'm not there yet because they're still relatively new.
mhm.
If you all are doing this in a year,
Yeah.
you can't go much further.
Yeah.
If you're in this space now, it's likely because you're really not going beyond what you look like because they're like, we look awesome together. And I'm like, sounds good.
Yeah.
Fitting in here for a reason.
And I don't know if this is the case now, and I'm going to say this with women as a
Mhm,
woman, but
mhm.
I tell younger people, including like my daughter who's in college,
Yeah,
don't be in a rush to get married. Like
yeah,
I remember having my life planned out and having this timeline. Like I want to be married by this age, have children by
yes.
this age, right? And the one thing that I can say, and I say this to people all of the time, I think I was 23 when I
Yeah.
got married. I don't remember
Girl, I
anymore.
was 25. Yeah.
I've been divorced now for the same number of years that I was that I was married. But I know during that time, I think I was more focused on the wedding, right? Getting
Yeah.
married.
Yeah.
And then I thought, which a lot of us do, we think that we can change a man. My 46-year-old, soon to be 47-year-old self, I have no desire.
No desire.
I don't have the energy or the capacity.
It is, that's how we start going down roads of codependency,
Hmm.
toxicity, and the emotional regulation that I was talking about,
Hmm.
because they will often, talking about women,
Hmm.
find themselves dumping everything into this person.
Yeah.
Why am I dumping all of this? Because I'm really trying to mold you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to coax you into being the person that can give me the thing that I want to feel good about this relationship,
Mm.
right? Because that's what will tell me that you love me so much. Did you ever stop to think that he's a whole individual,
Right.
right? Getting married is not about molding the other person, it's about growing with a person. And
Right.
growing means changes, right?
Right.
That is the thing that is the biggest hurdle in relationships, change. People don't know what to do with change. You may not grow at the same pace in
Hmm.
the same space, and you have to be able to respect that, right? Because you may be striving, you may have a very linear experience and the other person is zigzagging all over the place. Can you still love me when my trajectory doesn't look like yours? Right?
Hmm.
Can you still love me when life happens to me and changes my perspective about things? Because it's going to. So that's the biggest reason why most people have issues in relationships, because things change and they don't know how to deal with the change.
Well, if we want to not be alone,
We got to learn how to deal with change.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Especially as we're
So,
getting older, right?
right. Because I mean, full transparency, like I don't want to think I want to grow old by myself,
Right.
but I am also comfortable with, and I never thought that I would get to this point. I don't have to get married again. I know my children would love for me to get married again.
Yeah.
Um, but I would be fine with a companion, a travel partner. You're my plus
You
one.
have your address, I have mine. You have your car, I have mine.
We can live in a different
Because
state.
you're not giving up. You're not giving, and that's the other thing, you're not giving anything up, so to
Yeah,
speak. I'm not sacrificing
yeah.
anything. And oftentimes the struggle in relationships too comes from, I've sacrificed for you. I've sacrificed for us. You owe me, right? I
Mhm.
would not have done X, Y, and Z had I known you thought that or felt that, right?
Yeah,
And it's like, so why hadn't you all had this conversation before you even went into the X, the Y, and the Z? I didn't think I had to. Why not?
yeah.
Because I thought they were on the same page with me. You didn't check.
So we make assumptions.
We make assumptions. We have expectations that we don't talk about,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah.
expected you to do this because of who you are in my life, forgetting that they have a whole different experience inside of them.
Mm-hmm.
You got to check in.
Mm-hmm.
My husband and I still check in. Yep, we were married and everything. I mean, you still good? I'm still good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're not, life is too short to try and hold someone captive in something they don't want to be in,
Right,
right?
right. Yeah.
Have the conversation.
Well, there are some folks that need to have some conversation.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So
And
where
I'm here for them all.
now where can we get these cards? Let's have
We didn't have that
oh, we
conversation
didn't have that
yet.
conversation.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Oh no, that's okay.
Let me get it right.
Because that the cards are full of the conversations we likely did not have, right?
Mhm,
They can get them on my website. I'm going to say this slowly. It is www.insightsts.com/cards.
All
Yeah.
right. And I see, because I'm on the website
Yeah.
now, but I see you got a lot of different things here. You've got this black jar. Is this a
I
candle?
have
As a
started a
nightcap?
candle company. So there's two candles that
Okay.
people can purchase. There's more candles, but that goes along with the cards for the experience.
Mhm,
There is a candle that's a little more of a masculine scent called
mhm.
Nightcap. And then there's one that's more a little more floral, just a little bit, called Come See About Me.
Ooh,
Yeah,
okay. I
yes.
like that. I need go make some purchase.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And they are priced at $46. And anyone listening to this podcast, I will give a discount. All they have to do is type in client and you will get 20% off. Yes. So if they're listening
Ooh,
to this podcast, they can type in client for 20% off.
okay. All right, y'all hear that now.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. I am so glad that you decided to create this because you hear and see so much, as women, we're having conversations with one another. I'm sure
Yes,
men are having their own set
yes, yes, yes,
conversation.
yes.
And we're not talking to each other or in a space where I think we could have
Yeah.
the mature dialogue. I even saw something yesterday, and I try not to kind of chime in too much on
Mhm.
the Facebook
Yes.
questions and chatter, but I did see something where someone posted that for women, like their goal is marriage and to have children. And if a man doesn't want that, then it becomes a waste of their time.
Mm,
It's not
mm.
the case for all,
No, not at all.
women. And
Yeah.
then especially depending on the age
Mm,
or if the woman has been married before, what have you, that
mhm.
may not be their goal. So it's not necessarily true,
No,
you
no.
know. But I think that having the conversation and being
Yeah.
honest and
Yes.
upfront about what your intentions are and what
Yes.
your goals are,
Mhm.
that's where you can save yourself some time. Because if
Sometime.
if you don't have the same end goal,
Mhm.
then
Why are we even coming together? And some
right,
people will say, well, we can just kind of, get to know one another. We've already determined we don't
right,
want the same end goal, right?
right,
Yeah, we could have fun along the way, but something's bound to happen, right?
yeah,
Somebody's feelings are bound to get involved. Some
mhm,
expectations will bound to start because, well, you used to do it, so I expected you to continue doing it.
right,
That
yeah.
sounds relationshipy, right?
Yeah. And I think also what's important when we have conversations or if there are certain topics that come up, um, I think that it's important for that individual who's on the receiving end of
Mhm.
the information to maybe get clarity if there's something
Yes.
that's not totally clear.
Mhm.
Because in the example that I brought up earlier about being asked, did I want to, would I get married? Well, again, I thought that they were just asking from a general
Mhm.
perspective. And I later learned that this individual, while dating me, had started a whole relationship with somebody in a different state. That's neither here nor there. But they said, well, I didn't really think that you were that into me that way because I asked you, you know,
Yeah.
about what you wanted. Thinking like we were in. And I'm thinking everything like we're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
So the communication
Was
was
not there.
it was
Yeah.
not there because I'm thinking we're looking at this from one perspective
Yes, yes. Yes,
and
and see
you
that sometimes that's the thing that men get caught up. They don't wanna look at something from all angles because
yeah,
now we're just going too deep, right?
yeah,
It's like, but you
yeah,
can't just take it as active listening is a thing, and
right,
sometimes we have to admit we're not good listeners, right?
right,
Because now, between my husband and I, what did you hear? What did
right,
you hear me say? right?
Right.
Because I need to know if what I wanted to communicate is actually what got communicated. We
Right.
do it in the workplace.
Yeah.
Why not do it at home? Even with our kids, right? Adult kids, little kids. What did you hear?
Yes.
I want to make sure you got exactly what it is I'm trying to communicate to you, what my expectations are of you, right? What I need from you. What do you need from me, right?
Hmm.
We need to be okay with the discomfort in asking and not knowing what we're going to get.
Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
Now, if folks want to come to you for some relationship coaching,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
are
You
you
know,
taking clients?
I
New
am taking
clients?
couples. Yes,
Couples.
I'm taking couples. So I am on every piece of social media there is. It can be a bit draining, but I'm there. They can reach me through Melanie K Hall, LCPC on Instagram. They can go to my website, insightsts.com. I'll even give you the telephone number,
Okay.
312 818-1260. I do virtual as well, even if they are out of state, I can coach them out of state. So
Okay.
yes, I can. Yes, I can. Um, I also have a Facebook group that is called We Are Having That Conversation, where we go into different topics each day. Every day there's a new topic.
And that's for couples though, right?
Nope, that is for everyone.
Oh, so I
That
can
is- You
join.
can join, ma'am. There are people in there single asking questions.
Okay.
Okay. And
Okay.
there are most of the married people are just kind of lurking, and I'm like, don't lurk, just
Yeah.
come on. And it depends on the couple if
Mhm.
both of them join,
Okay.
right? And I get it. Some people are like, nope, I'll just go over here for me and ask some questions, see what people think. But you can always post anonymously.
Okay.
That's still a thing. But yes, you can find me on TikTok. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook.
Okay.
You type in my name, Melanie Hall. It will all come up.
I am so excited and because I
Thank
got to get
you.
my whole life together because 2024 is what I am calling my Kobe year.
Okay, ma'am.
So, I've got all these other things going on
Yes.
professionally and different
Yes.
things like that. And I think I need to kind of focus
Feeling pretty good. Yeah.
on that personal side and get
Yes.
that
Yes. It's
solidified.
like I would love to have a person that I can share things with,
Yeah,
right? Bad, good, and different, just to be able to
right,
sit and go, what in the world just happened, right? Or just come and
yeah,
be like, I'm excited about, come
right,
celebrate with me, right?
right,
You, it's very comforting to have that,
yeah,
right? But it doesn't mean I can't live without it,
right,
right?
right.
I know how to live without it, but I would much rather have that person, the right person.
I like the way you said that. I'm going to use that, Melanie. I'm going to take that. I'm going to give you credit when I use it now.
Okay,
Because
no problem.
I did say to somebody that um I said something along the lines that I'd love to be in a relationship. I
Mhm.
said, but I'm, so focused on work and all of the other things
Yeah.
that I think I use not intentionally,
Mhm.
but I think it does prevent me from focusing on that aspect
Mhm.
of my
Mhm.
life because I'm busy with everything else.
Yes,
So
I get it. I do.
I need some
It's
help.
been a joy. No, you don't. What you probably need more than anything is a circle that you can go and just
Yeah,
right? And get other perspectives, right?
yeah,
More communication, right? And
yeah,
sometimes we have that, but sometimes we hold back just a tad. We do. Because we like, I don't know how safe this is going to be once I put it out there. So we
right.
kind of, hold back some things. But yeah, everybody needs somebody.
Yes,
Yeah. Mhm.
this is true. So, folks, make sure you visit Melanie's website. It is, give us the website again.
Insightsts.com.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, and you can find Melanie on social media.
Mhm.
Um,
Melanie Hall, just type that in and it will come up.
so we're going to change the narrative from we didn't have that conversation
So we are
to
having
we
a
are having.
conversation.
That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Well,
That's been
always
awesome. I love it. I love it.
you are always welcome to come back. I am so very excited. I'm going to be placing my order, and then
Awesome.
maybe I can have a testimonial to
Yes, ma'am.
share.
I got a few. I'm about to add those to the website. I have just not had an opportunity to do so.
And yeah.
But I am going to add those testimonials because they are great. I love them.
Well, thank you for creating this because it's certainly needed.
Yeah.
And I am hopeful that all of these couples who have an opportunity and single folks who have an opportunity
Mhm.
to access and use the
Yeah.
conversation cards
Mhm.
will
Mhm.
find it very, very helpful. So
That is the goal. That is the
thank
goal.
you so much because we've
Thank
got to
you.
get these relationships in
Gotta
order.
get it together. I look, if you together, I'm trying to help you stay together, but it's okay to say we are not a match.
Right.
Mhm. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay if what you find out is that we are not equally yoked.
Yeah.
Now you gotta make some decisions. Yeah.
All right. Decision time.
Decision time. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome.
I
Thank you
will
so
come
much
back
for being
anytime.
here. I
Mhm.
appreciate it. So,
Mhm.
thank you everyone for tuning in to this week's episode of Light It Up. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share the podcast, check out Melanie Hall's website, place your order. Yeah, so that we can all get our relationship
Yes,
goals intact for 2024 and beyond.
yes, yes.
Thanks for tuning in this week. Join me next week and see if I have another very interesting guest on Light It Up. And until next time, remember to continue to light it up and shine bright like a diamond. Thanks for joining me this week on Light It Up. Make sure you visit my website at www.lightituppodcast.com or www.aginahmuhammad.com. You can also find me on social media using the handle at Light It Up Podcast. If you like what you've heard, please be sure to hit the subscribe button so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, I'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or you can simply tell a friend about the show. Be sure to tune in every Tuesday for a new episode. Until next time, light it up and shine bright like a diamond.